Okay, so I was doing a little bit of research for Wuthering Waves videos to make for the next coming days and pretty much schedule my content, and well, I got so annoyed by this one article that I'm going to make a video on this right now, because this article, it popped up, it said Wuthering Waves anniversary is doomed to repeat Genshin Impact's mistakes, and also the previous kind of thing they mentioned on the title was saying that Honkai Star Rail that they should take notes from Honkai Star's free meta characters. Now, obviously, a lot of these news sites and stuff, they want to kind of, make a big article to make people click on it, and I totally understand that, but I got really annoyed at the fact of how much misinformation that actually was in this kind of article in general, and it kind of misleads a lot of people. Now, obviously, yes, this was written by Pocket Tactics, which is a gaming kind of article. I'm pretty sure I covered some of the articles before on Wuthering Waves and other gacha games, and they say, Kuro Games' recent livestream confirmed the Wuthering Waves anniversary rewards to thank their players for their time. And it was a little bit lackluster. There's still time for the company to amp it up before the patch drops, but as it stands, we're not getting much. To celebrate one whole year of us wuthering some waves, players receive a temple of limited wishes and a coupon of 300 Lunites off their choice, which is right, okay? So we did get obviously these 10 wishes here, which again is great to see, and also we got a little bit of a discount on the shop. Now, obviously, yes, I do wish there was more wishes. I mean, I'm not here to argue the fact of, whether these rewards were good or not, but the straight up misinformation that is going on in this article is pretty crazy. As they say, here we go. Yep, not even a free skin, just a 300 Lunite discount. The kicker is, most skins, including the 2 new ones, is coming next to Wuthering Waves update, which it's not even in the next Wuthering Waves update, by the way. It's in the one after, in 2.4, but okay. Are for 5-star characters and cost 3,280 Lunite. To give some context, that many Lunites will still cost you up to $49. Now they say, also, the 7-day login event for this patch only gives 300 Astrite, which is true. We did get an event with 300 Astrite, right? And they say, compared to the usual 5 limited and 5 standard wishes. So they're saying that this thing right here, that, this Gifts of Grand Reunion above it doesn't exist. Apparently, what they're trying to kind of make it come across as is the fact that they've replaced this one, which is still an event, we get both of them, is they've replaced it for 300 Astrite. That's just completely wrong. They're completely wrong with that. That's an extra 10 pulls that they've just missed out on there in an article about Wuthering Waves and trying to go after them, I don't mind people critiquing Wuthering Waves when it's actually correct. It's not correct. I've never been this angry at an article before because, usually a lot of people are correct and I'm like, okay, fair enough. You got a lot of kind of context and stuff behind it. But this person seems to be absolutely clueless because they seem to be suggesting the fact that they've given us 300 Astrite instead of 10 pulls, which we usually get. No, we're getting 10 pulls and 300 Astrite. That's like, that already is so much better than what they're making it out to be. And obviously a lot of people are going to read this and go, well, that's rubbish. And it would be rubbish if that was the case. If they did replace this banner with it, or if they did replace this, login event with it, then yeah, I could totally understand there'll be a lot of outrage. But that's not the case. That is literally not the case at all. And obviously, yeah, they say, obviously there's been a lot of backlash to this already, and Kuro put out a statement confirming that a new login event will be added, which gives 10 of the limited weapon and standard wishes, which again, that is true. Obviously, we get 10 of each of them, which is 30 pulls. I do feel like this article is written in a way to kind of just like go after Wuthering Waves in a really disingenuous way. Obviously, for example, they say it gives 10 of each of them. Why not just say, include that it's 30 pulls in total? Again, I feel like they're kind of avoiding that. And they've also avoided giving a total of the pulls that we're getting in the anniversary. They go through it saying, they received 10 pull of limited wishes, but they never say how many pulls we got in total, which I think was around about 40 originally. And now obviously it's gone up to 70 if you include these pulls, or if you don't like limited pulls, then it's 60. But again, you see, at some point, we gacha game fans need to start realizing that the anniversary awards are never as good as what they get rumored to be. Streamers, leakers, and eager fans mention a 5-star or a 5-star selector, and it snowballs from there, which is true. I do actually believe that, and I think the rest of this article is actually fine. They're saying, players are left disappointed after finding out what rewards are actually coming. They say, however, Kuro did set expectations pretty high when it gave out a free copy of Wuthering Waves Zhangli Yao in patch 1.2 to essentially keep the players happy while fixing issues early on in the game's lifespan. So we weren't wrong to expect another freebie. Recently, Honkai Star Rail embarked on its 2nd anniversary shindig, where players can choose a free HSR Ruamei or HSR's Luocha, 2 excellent characters in the game, or a standard banner option of their choice, on top of free warp tickets, jades, and more. The game also tweaks the options for the standard HSR banner pool, adding Blade, Fushuan, and Zila as options, and letting you remove others like Yangqing, which is one of the best celebrations I've seen. Which, yeah, I understand that a lot of what Honkai Star has done in the anniversary was actually pretty good. A lot of the standard banner stuff, I liked that. How you could mix and match them, you could actually get some of the other characters in there. Really good idea. But they purposely kind of missed the point of everything else that was in that, event. For example, the spending event. They go so hardly on the Lunite and the Lunite, discount, and then they don't even talk about the spending event that happened in Honkai Star. They don't talk about the power creep that happened with Castris. They don't talk about any of that. They go, oh, it's so good because they gave us a Ruwa Mei, and they changed some of the banner. They don't talk about the negatives of it. They only talk about the positives, which, again, I think that is very disingenuous, and it definitely feels like there's a big agenda coming from this article, in my opinion, and especially with a lot of this misinformation, they're trying to make it seem like way worse than it actually is it just feels so wrong. And it says, on the other hand, Genshin Impact's first anniversary was generally regarded as pretty rubbish. In 2021, players who helped Genshin win awards, break records, and pull in profits as one of the best mobile games out there got one temple worth of wishes. There was also a web event where you could earn around about 100 Primo Gems. Hoyoverse then sent out 1,600 Primo Gems in the mail following the backlash, but the damage was already done, which, yeah, again, that's true. They say, with all of that said, it's nearly Zenless Zone Zero's first anniversary, and it would be an excellent opportunity for Hoyoverse to turn up the dial and give a bunch of freebies as a proper reward to show the other games how it's really done. That, or we'll get 10 Boupons in the mail or something like that. They say, whether you're taking part in the anniversary patch or not, we have the new Wuthering Waves codes and stuff like that, so they're pretty much just shilling their codes, but I just felt like this article wasn't made in very good faith. I could understand if you got the facts and you were saying, hey, I don't think like the 40 pools was enough, or however much it was. I don't think that was enough, and here's why. But the thing is, they're making it seem to be like we're only getting like 20, and that they've gotten rid of like a lot of the really player-friendly stuff, which has already been in the game for ages, and when they haven't, this was the main thing that really, really annoyed me. I don't care about people, being mad at the anniversary. I've even expressed my kind of, gripes with it and my issues with it. But saying that this Gifts of Grand Reunion doesn't exist and they've replaced it with something like a 300 asteroid thing, because they don't say it's both there. Like, it's very, very obvious how they, word it. They say, for this patch only gives 300 asteroid compared to the usual 5 limited and 5 standard, saying that this is different. They're giving 300 instead of the limited ones and the standard wishes. Which, again, they say, I'll let you decide which you'd rather have. Like, again, they're not they're not kind of saying that, hey, both are here. They're saying, I'd let you know which you'd rather have. And obviously they're implying the fact that people are going to be mad at the fact that there isn't one of these, when there actually is. Like, I think that's absolutely crazy. And obviously, I hate a lot of the misinformation that goes on, especially around, the Wuthering Waves community whenever this stuff happens. Because, big kind of drama things happen like this. People, get to the point and they get to the facts, everything, the truths, and, that's great. But there's some people out there who, obviously hate the game for some reason, hate the developers for some reason, just hate something to do with Wuthering Waves. And for some reason, they feel the need to go and spread misinformation. Now, I don't know if this article or this person who wrote this article has an agenda against Wuthering Waves. I don't know if they've written other Wuthering Waves articles or even played the game, to be honest, because, I don't know, maybe it is a fact that they just don't play the game, or they don't actually understand the game properly, and they're just making an article because, it's their job, and so they're just, like, kind of going, oh, they got rid of it, and just didn't really look into it anymore. That could be a thing. They could be, like, completely ignorant, and just, like, not really look into it properly. But, the way that they phrase the rest of the article really feels like, it's against Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves have done this bad. They've done this bad. Honkai Star is so good. They've both done things bad. Don't get me wrong. Honkai Star has done things bad. Wuthering Waves have done things bad. The initial rewards I don't think were enough, but they're making it seem worse than even worse than it was, which would be absolutely terrible. And I think that, all of this kind of, misinformation stuff just keeps going round and round and round, and it's really, really starting to get annoying, especially from, an official kind of article like this from, I'm guessing, I don't know how many readers they have, but I'm sure they do get a lot of readers. It popped up on my Google News page, and, usually I save this kind of stuff for tomorrow, so I have more, like, content to make, but it annoyed me so much that the fact that, they're purposely spreading these lies about the game, that they feel the need to do stuff like this. So, yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that, this is pretty crazy? Because honestly, I think, this kind of misinformation spreading about the game, like, really, really annoys me. And I think, especially whenever you're trying to write a big title like that, you know, Wuthering Waves anniversary is doomed to repeat Genshin Impact's mistakes. You know, you've at least got to get the facts right. Like, come on, you got to get the facts right. But again, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe it was. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. And yeah, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, go to Game of Subs, use my code Kaza. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all.